the Prophet ﷺ said, are you trying to go back to the first one? La, that's not going to happen. So it must be a legitimate marriage. So it's cursed. La'natullah. The hadith of Ubaydullah ibn Abbas is a little bit fiqhi issue, but I'm not going to translate it, but it goes as follows that, as you know in Islam, a lady and a man, once they have divorced 3 times, they're not allowed to get married, correct? You know this fiqhi issue, right? Once the 3 triple divorce has taken place, what must happen in order for the marriage to take place again? She has to marry another man. Okay? So this issue is what this hadith mentions. So the lady was triple divorced and she had to marry another man. So she married another man but refused to be intimate because she wanted to go back to the first one. So it was a type of trickery, and that's not allowed in Islam. And so the complaint came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ said, are you trying to go back to the first one? La, that's not going to happen. So it must be a legitimate marriage. So means you don't want to be a wife to him, you married him. You cannot now say, I don't want to be a wife. That doesn't, you can't have it that way. And then the hadith says that basically, I'm not going to translate it because it will require 10 minutes of explanation, but the gist of it is, until you consummate the marriage, then there's a legitimate talaq, then you can, after the iddah, go back and marry the first one. You cannot play games with the sharia, have a fake marriage contract, just get a marriage done. No, the game, that doesn't work that way. Okay? So, the marriage must be consummated. This hadith is Ubaydullah ibn Abbas hadith. That you cannot just have a fake marriage contract. By the way, what this means is, you cannot have a fake marriage. And a fake marriage is batil in the eyes of Allah, even if in the eyes of men it is accepted. Meaning, if your niyyah was, oh, I'm just having this fake marriage, right? Just to get them back, or get her back, or get him back, right? If that was the niyyah, in the eyes of Allah, it doesn't work that way. You must marry a genuine marriage, a real marriage. And then an issue must arise in that other marriage that doesn't work out. And then after the talaq and iddah, if you want to, then you can go back to the first husband. Okay? So this hadith is the main hadith that is used, Ubaydullah ibn Abbas, to demonstrate that second marriage must be a legitimate marriage. And if there's to be a fake marriage, it will not be accepted in the eyes of Allah. That's from Ubaydullah ibn Abbas. Go ahead. No, it is not halal to marry a person that has been triple divorced for the niyyah to make the previous marriage permissible. Anybody who does this, the marriage is batil in the eyes of Allah. We cannot know your niyyah, but Allah knows your niyyah. Anybody who does this, the marriage is batil. And in the hadith in Abu Dawood, in fact, is very severe. Our Prophet ﷺ cursed such a person. Al-muhallal wal-muhallal lah. It's cursed. La'natullah. Al-muhallal wal-muhallal lah. It's cursed. La'natullah. It's cursed. La'natullah. And in one hadith, and it's a bit vulgar, but it needs to be said, it's a hadith. Our Prophet ﷺ called such a person at-tays al-musta'ar. Like the hired, like donkey or bull. Like the most vulgar thing. You know, animals, if you understand farm animals, if you want to make your animal pregnant, your female animal, you will hire, or they would hire another animal, to mate. And in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ literally said, this type of marriage is like a hired, donkey or bull. Like just something, it's somewhat vulgar to say, but it gets the point across. How can this be possible? So such a marriage is batil in the eyes of Allah. It is accursed in the eyes of Allah. And if we come to find out about it, even in our fiqh, now that we know about it, we'll say, no, you cannot go back to the husband now.